All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
In the twilight's hush, where shadows whisper low, a silver glimmer streaks across the sky, aglow with a haunting melody. The air begins to thrum, an echo of the wonders that from beyond have come. Celestial encounter as the stars align, a tapestry of wonders woven through space and time. From the void of darkness, a chorus sings so bright.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. If you would like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And you're listening to us tonight on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, CanCon Broadcast CanCon Broadcast Network, and of course on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM here in St. Catharines, streaming us on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour is all the way in tomorrow already. George Mitrovic is our special guest, and he is in Australia. That's why I'm able to say today is tomorrow, and one of these days, George will have to get me the 649 number so that we can split the lottery between the two of us. And George is going to be talking to us tonight, XO Nation, about Bigfoot, UFOs, the supernatural, strange archaeology, cryptids, and much more. An interesting thing about George is he's written 164 books. Now, that's 164 books on Amazon and 60 or 70 on Audible. And George, welcome back to the X Zone. Great having you with us. And I still can't get over the amount of writing you do. And you were telling me before we went on air that you've done 64 books since Christmas?
No, only 24 books.
24. Only 24 books. 24 books. Well, thanks very much for joining us. Great seeing you again. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's George Mitrovic. I've been researching the unknown and the occult since the first time I could pronounce the words Abu Simbel, which is in Egypt. And that was about 4 or 5. And then I started reading books like the Allende letters, or Allende letters, about the Philadelphia experiment when I was 5. And the books of Harold Wilkins, a little later when I was about 6. And I just have a voracious appetite for books, which you can see around me, and they continue down the hallway and around the house. And fortunately, they're 9-foot ceilings, so I can fit a fair few in.
Oh, my gosh. How many books do you estimate you have in your home?
I've got no idea. And an unusual thing about the books I produce is they all have bibliographies, which are generally missing from most books on the unknown, occult, Bigfoot, you name it. I like people to see where the data comes from.
No doubt. What is your favorite topic in the paranormal, if you have one?
I don't have one. I like all of them. Bigfoot, I've sort of grown accustomed to his face because I've written more on Bigfoot than any other author in the world. In Australia, I've written 2 huge books on Yowies, which are Bigfoot. I've written international books on Bigfoot. I've written hundreds of pages on Bigfoot in North America because I like the look of it. I like the theory. and the practice. And I've got my own radical ways of looking at things, which some people like and some people hate, but that's what happens in this field.
So, how do you look at Bigfoot? What is your radical way of looking at it?
The most radical is, and there are three ways of looking from my research, because I only work on research. I only work on the research results producing the book. Most authors start the book and then add the results. That's easy. I let the results speak for themselves. I'll give you two simple stories.
Sure.
And I've got to be careful I don't swear. I'm Australian. We tend to swear a lot. I know a lot of people in the States are very coy about things.
Well, we're up here in Canada, so you're okay.
Oh, that's right. You're more like us, except
That's
the cold
right.
version.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about Randy and Andy.
Okay.
Except that's more American, but that'll stick because it rhymes. Randy and Andy are driving through the forest, whether it's in BC or on the East Coast. And they might have had a couple of beers. They might not have. They're young bucks out for a night drive in the bush. We've all done it. You know, whether you're in Canada or Australia, you've always gone for a drive with your mates at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful night, but they then realise we've got to stop. They need to relieve themselves, as the Americans say. We have other phrases for it. So Andy and Randy get out of the car to relieve themselves. A stupid anachronism.
Okay.
And they hear this noise starting. They see things being thrown at them. They see this large hairy thing going, to use an old phrase, ape shit at them. And it's an important phrase. Somebody doesn't like them there. It's Anthropology 101. They're marking this other animal's territory. And this is one of the most common Bigfoot reports you can get. These boys have just marked a large animal's territory and it's not having it. It's a simple solution. They don't believe in complex solutions. And that is the behavior of a large anthropoid ape, probably related to Gigantopithecus. And he has another little hobby as well. This time it's not Randy and Andy. It's Randy and Mandy. And they're in the middle of the woods again at 2 o'clock in the morning, obviously studying for their finals to get ready for university. In the States, it's the SATs. And suddenly somebody's face appears at the window, very interested in what they're doing, which is not studying for the SATs. Or it's jumping up and down and hitting the car hood. Next time you go to the zoo, watch for great apes while other apes are studying for the SATs or their finals. They stand around and watch, they yahoo, they carry on. Once again, it's Anthropology 101. And that's one explanation for Bigfoot. Designed and built by nature and adaptation to be the cover of the gigantic trees it lives amongst. So it hides in the shadows. So that in 99% of cases and sightings, they're on the tree line, on the inside of it, rarely on the outside of it. They camouflage perfectly. They have some odd features which are unusual. They can run exceptionally fast, almost like they're shape-shifting across a paddock. They've got big legs. They're 8 to 9 foot tall, sometimes 12 foot tall. It is going to be faster just from mechanics. But you've got the second type of Bigfoot, which all the ancient Amerindian legends speak about. And in fact, legends worldwide by indigenous people say the same thing, that Bigfoot comes from another zone. In Aboriginal culture here in Australia, it's called the Dreamtime. In North America, it's creatures from the next dimension that can come to Earth, that can attack you, can heal you, can do anything, but basically you can't predict them. Millions of people have written on them. People who've followed Bigfoot for years have probably read every single book on them. So I'm going to leave that part there. And now we go to the wild card, the third type of Bigfoot. And this is the one, what's he talking about? There's no third type of Bigfoot. Aha. One advantage of trawling for data on every single supernatural theme is you get the most amazing calibrations. October 1954, on 9 different occasions. This is during the Great French Airship Flap. For those who don't know, that was a massive explosion of airship and airship humanoid sightings in October, November in France. It moved eastward to Italy and North Africa after that. On 9 occasions that October, there was a UFO arrives, door opens. Who do we get coming out of it? Are we expecting the great tall blonde Venusian? Oh, lots of times they saw them. Greys? Lots of times they saw them, but on these 9 occasions, there were 4.5-foot tall furry creatures with big eyes. Littlefoot? It's quite shocking. Where the hell did they come from? And secondly, if this is all imagination, as a lot of people say, what part of the imagination produced that particular sighting? And then we move to 1968, East Coast United States, Pennsylvania. Several sightings, and once again, down comes the ship, ramp comes down. Who comes out? No, it's not a Littlefoot. It is a Bigfoot. Generally 9 foot tall. Looks like Chewbacca, but naked. But this is 6 years before Star Wars. So how do we explain that one as well? Or is it somebody was just having a grand delusion at the time? And yet the delusions were occurring in different areas at the same time, and the same delusion, if it was one. So that's my 3 very basic viewpoints on Bigfoot. Do you have any questions?
I do, and I'm going to talk to you when we come back from this commercial break. George, thanks very much for being with us tonight. At Exonation, if you'd like more information about our guest this hour, his website is George Mitrovic. George Mitrovic author.ulasite.
Yeah, but I rarely use it. Most people go to my normal Facebook page.
There you go.
It's a lot easier.
I guess. Stand by, George. We'll be right back. And more about Bigfoot, UFOs, and other strange, weird, and bizarre things that happen not only in the United States and Canada, but in Australia as well. We'll be back. Whatever you do, don't go away.
In the twilight's hush, where shadows whisper low, a silver glimmer streaks across the sky, aglow with a haunting melody. The air.
Hey there, gather round, it's time for the show. The X Zone's where the wild mysteries flow. McConnell's here with a voice so clear. Dive into Bigfoot, no need for fear. In the heart of the woods where legends reside, with footprints and stories Uncle Sam confides. Patterson Gimlin, let's rewind that tape. Frame by frame, let's scrutinize the shape. Expert guests and researchers on the line, with skeptics chiming in, forming quite the design. Whether sightings are true or just a wild tale, we're exploring every clue, let the mystery prevail. Searching for Bigfoot, oh what a ride. In the X Zone, we'll take it in stride. Thermal imaging and whispers at night. Rob's got the scoop and he's shining a light. Keep your minds open, let curiosity reign. In the search for the truth, there's so much to gain.
Welcome back, everyone. George Mitrovic is our special guest, and we're talking about Bigfoot right now. I've got a few questions. The fact that Bigfoot and Littlefoot and Yowies have been seen coming out of UFOs, in your opinion, are Bigfoot extraterrestrial visitors that live in our forests or in the mountains as Sasquatch?
It's all of the above. Some are, some aren't, and most aren't. But what a great disguise to use when you're wanting to just wander around the planet, look at things, scope it out. If anyone sees you, they say, it's a Bigfoot, it's a Bigfoot. Who's going to believe them? No one.
So, how come, in your opinion, there has been no evidence like a Bigfoot cadaver or the all-important photograph that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Bigfoot is real?
We've had a lot of supposed data, supposed photos, supposed moving film, which we've been arguing about since 1964. I don't need to give you its name. If you follow Bigfoot and you know it backwards and you've watched it 200 times. I'm not going to voice an opinion. I reckon it's real. Others say it isn't. The problem with trying to prove something that everyone insists doesn't exist, if I dragged it into a studio, a TV studio, everyone would say it's CGI.
True.
If I sliced it up, they'd say it's special effects. If I took a photo, that's AI 101 again. So how do we prove it? In all of my research, and as I said, I've written a lot of books on Bigfoot. I like it. I write books with maps on them so you can see where his optimal or her optimal running around areas are and territories. And, there have been more Bigfoot sightings around Los Angeles than in the north of California. It's amazing what you learn from maps. I believe by getting enough data together, that will prove more than just standing there and showing a grainy photo you or your MIMA took 50 years ago, and they forgot where it was and forgot when it was. All my data I use has time and place. Otherwise, it's useless. I had an argument with a bloke a couple of months ago who said, you're not doing anything positive. You haven't seen a Bigfoot. I said, it doesn't matter if I haven't seen a Bigfoot, but if I don't document it and write it down, no one will give a rat's ass about your Bigfoot because they won't know about it. We need to combine the data, increase the data, see what patterns are in the data. I know of 6 out of the thousands of sightings I've read of, all from published sources, of deaths of Bigfoot. And the people who killed it every single time hid the body and fled because it was too human. So many times you read reports on Bigfoot. Now, I'm not a bright person, so bear with me. We've got people in the States and Canada and Europe. They've been, according to their own words, shooting squirrels since they were 6 years old. They can shoot a crow out of a tree at 50 feet. How come when they get to shoot a Bigfoot, they can't hit the damn thing at 20 feet and it's 8 foot high? Excuse me? They've admitted they fired and they shot it. Excuse me? There's something missing here. Either they really are crappy shots, but they can't all be. I've even got reports like Point Isabel in Ohio. That's a big book I'm starting in a few days. It's in a series I'm doing at the moment. Why Ohio is a 200-page book, I've got no idea. But it will be. Well, at Point Isabel, I think there were 3 sightings where they shot the Bigfoot and it exploded. Went up in a flash of light. So figure that one out.
Wait a second. I'm still trying to get over that one. I've never heard of this before. Where Bigfoot.
Point Isabel, Ohio, I think it's 1968.
Wow.
And bear with me, my memory's shot now. I mean, I'm over 70. And it's taken a lot of a beating over the years. But just Point Isabel, it's Isabel, if you want to Google it up while you're talking to me. It exploded. No guts over it, just flash of light, gone. Are we discussing different dimensions? Could well be. I believe a lot of our phenomena come from another dimension. They come here. They use what we believe. I'll try and explain it in a simpler form. That is, the form arrives and takes on what the brain thinks is real that's doing the viewing of it, or the brain will go mad. So, devout Catholics see the Virgin Mary in a tree. Why in a tree? I've got no idea, but if you look at Marian Virgin apparitions, they're generally in a cave or on a tree. They're the ones with the blue shawl.
Yeah.
Then you've got the people who love... It started off years ago. I know I'm jumping. One of the first things I noticed about strange phenomena was one group on one side of a mountain was seeing the Virgin Mary coming down, giving them messages, going away. Nearby, on the other side of the mountain, UFO comes down, door comes out, tall, white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired Orthons from Venus comes out. He's quite popular and well-recorded. Gives everybody a whole list of predictions of how the world's going to blow up in the next year and goes. And at another spot near the same mountain, the hunters were seeing Bigfoot. They were adjusting what they were seeing to their own belief systems. And some people find that a hard bridge to cross. But what a perfect camouflage.
So basically what we're doing is we're visualizing in what we want to see because it's part of our belief system.
It's the only way we can translate it.
Yeah.
Because the biggest theme in UFOs, especially, is light and heat.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget to notice light and heat before whatever it is starts manifesting in front of you or appearing. That's why we get so many reports of clear conjunctivitis from people who look at UFOs, of sunburns, of radiation burns, things like that. They're not imagination. They're products of extreme heat and light. But is that process of heat and light what's manufacturing the form? Because remember, these things are three-dimensional. They leave footprints. Yeah. They leave pod prints. They leave all manner of strange things.
So they're
simple concepts.
They're like holograms.
Physical holograms. Yeah.
So that would also explain the sighting of what was the name of it in Portugal?
Fatima.
Right.
Or Fatima, depending on how you want to pronounce it. That was a blue Marian veil again.
It was, yeah.
Originally in a tree.
Yeah.
Remember rightly, 60,000 people were on the last day on October 14th, I think, 1914.
Mm-hmm.
But forgive me if I'm wrong.
Forgiven.
I'm not looking at other screens at the moment. I'm just running on what's left of the memory. 60,000 people, and there were photos taken and film taken, all in black and white, of the last visitation by the Virgin Mary when a glowing light came out of the sky.
Right.
It's classified as a miracle by the church. The brand itself recognized it. And there are still photos of it, and one lot of film was of it. I don't know where it is now. Probably in a vault in the Vatican. Once again, light and heat. As things move in and out of dimensions, there's always going to be light. There's always going to be heat because it's energy.
Something else that I'm just realizing now is that a number of these sightings, especially of religious figures, is during the day, not at night.
Yeah. Daylight and nighttime doesn't limit anything.
No.
Some things are more apt. You can see UFOs better at nighttime because they're all lit up.
Right.
When it is grey and sitting in a forest, you might not even notice them.
That's true.
I mean, and one of the areas, there are two areas like Portugal and parts of Spain that have a high incidence of BVM sightings, which is Blessed Virgin Mary. Poland, Croatia, strongly Catholic countries. Their culture is influencing their sighting.
As well as Brazil.
And Brazil.
Yeah. Mexico.
Yep, and France.
Yeah.
Oh, parts of France. Most of France doesn't give a rat's. But you'll find the French sightings were in the 19th and 18th century, so it's adapted.
And then you've got the sighting that REL, the leader of the Raelian organization, saw, and that was in France. And you and I have to take a break. This is fascinating. George, thanks very much for joining us tonight. And Exo Nation, George and I will return on the other side of this break. So whatever you do, don't go away. www.exonradiotv.com. And you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM here in St. Catharines, streaming us at classic1220.ca.
In the twilight's hush, where shadows whisper low, a silver glimmer streaks across the sky, aglow with a haunting melody. The air begins to thrum, an echo of the wonders that from beyond have come. Celestial encounter as the stars align, a tapestry of wonders woven through space and time.
In the twilight glow where the shadows creep, in the quiet woods where secrets sleep, there's a tale that's told by the firelight's dance of a great wild spirit and a second chance. They say he's a giant with a heart so bold, covered in darkness with stories untold, a creature of legend from the tales of yore, known as Bigfoot, but he's so much more. Oh, Bigfoot, wanderer of the night, in the whispers of the pines, you're a fleeting sight, with your massive footsteps in the soft, cool earth. You're a symbol of mystery, of nature's rebirth.
Bigfoot, one of the biggest topics that we've covered here in the X Zone over 30 some odd years now. Still a mystery. Is it a mystery because we don't understand Bigfoot, or is it because we're trying to put Bigfoot into the world of reality as we think it is? Is Bigfoot from another planet, or is Bigfoot from within us? Is there something that we know, we've seen, that we project? People believe that Bigfoot is a cousin of the great apes. I don't know. But, George, what do you take from all of the research that you've done, all the data points and all the data that you've amassed and spent countless hours sifting through to find all these different connections?
It's the easiest answer of all of the above. It's the one you always grab when you're not sure in the test, subsection D, because that can explain everything.
So does this same hypothesis work for all aspects of the paranormal?
No, because otherwise it wouldn't be paranormal. But I'll add another non-reality or hyper-reality theme to it.
Okay.
I've written a bit on the great 1896-1897 airship flap, which started in the west coast of North America, Washington, Oregon, California, gradually moved. That was in November 1896. Then by April 1897 had moved to the Midwest and Chicago, and by July had moved the entire flap down to Texas and then disappeared. It's a long flap with a definite direction. And I was looking at the machines. I'm a bit of a technocrat. I think it's just the way I think and the way I look at things. And the machines, if you tried to build it, you know, the great airships that flew around in 1896, 1897, seen by hundreds of thousands, photographs taken. They've got a propeller at each end. I think there are a couple of reports where they've got 3 propellers. Well, that thing isn't going to fly. It's not going to go anywhere. All these different craft, some piloted by people who said, we're going to Spain, we're going to Mexico, we're going to fight the Spanish in Mexico, we're going to liberate Cuba. That sort of brings it into a normal reality. But these things are enormous, and yet other people said, yeah, we'd built it. We've come from Youngstown or somewhere in Ohio. No one noticed one being built. I mean, it's not the sort of thing you put in the backyard of the coach house. Seeing it's 5 times bigger than the house and the coach house.
Right.
And then you've got others who people see who, no, they don't look like humans at all. It becomes absurd, and absurd is a good word. Actually, there was a book written in the 70s called The Goblin Universe. And sometimes it seems like that. Absurdity of the sightings.
Is it possible that what these airships purported to be were actually cloaking devices that were being emanated by UFOs, so that it would not be the extraterrestrial craft that is seen that would raise concern or fear, but something that the humans could kind of associate with?
It's a good question. And yes, and unfortunately there were crashes recorded of these things as well, but the wreckage was it's a dead dirigible. You know, it wasn't shiny and metallic.
Right.
That comes a bit later. But in the common literature of the day, nobody bothered to look at that side of it. People were starting to imagine what life in the future was going to be like. And they were imagining what they were seeing a couple of years later. In the 30s, they were imagining the Flash Gordon rockets and seeing them a couple of years later. In the late 40s, they were or early to late 40s, they were seeing the traditional UFO shape. Well, it had been recorded around for 200 years, but not very commonly. And by 1947, I think in my book on New Mexico, which is with New Jersey, which I just recently published, it's an entire series of monsters, humanoids, and mysteries of a particular state, but some of the states didn't have enough information, so we get 2 or 3 to a book sometimes. All available on Amazon. There's always one jump the head. And by the early 60s, people were seeing huge triangular UFOs.
Yes.
That technology is now all over the place. Are they visualizing the future ahead? Are they cloaking to hide themselves as something that looks like the future ahead? Or are they creatively visualizing?
It's almost like Jules Verne and the Nautilus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can go one weird step sideways. There's a brilliant author in the early 60s called Desmond Leslie. I'm sure you've read his books. He brought the concept of demonology in.
Yeah.
God, this will get in the people in the United States going, seeing half of them are fundamentalists. But the UFO nauts are demons. Or
Why?
fairies.
Yeah, fairies, leprechauns,
Yeah, because people
unicorns,
would
yeah.
enter the craft and go away for 20 years and come back. Well, they went away for a day. They came back, 20 years had gone. The same as the early legends. You got Michelle writing about the history of the sky ships from Magonia in the medieval period.
Yeah.
What is real and what is not? Because ultimately we're discussing the nature of reality by discussing all of this.
Maybe the paranormal isn't as strange as we believe it is. Maybe it's more of what is real, and we turn it into something that is unreal because we can't understand it.
Yes, the same as I said before. Our brain converts it into an image it understands, and if it's really strange, the brain starts doing something it thinks might be right based on projections of what it could be. So that's why people in the late 1890s were seeing strange airships in the sky. The weird part was, I think there was even one Canadian report where one big airship came down with a bucket of Canadian dollars to buy some eggs. Oh, they got to eat.
Oh, yeah, true.
And another airship report where they said they were using a net to catch birds. And the birds were really fine eating. And you start thinking, every newspaper in the North America couldn't have been lying. Because the standard excuse is they were just making up stuff to sell copy.
Sure, if it don't bleed, it don't lead. Yeah, that's right.
Too many of them. We're looking at probabilities here as well. We can't keep letting a fantasy grow when there's no basis for it.
Well, a lot of these stories or reports are questionable. Like, who? I think we have to take a close look on who is making the report. What do they have to gain by making that report? We need to further investigate the reasoning behind the report, especially today with everything that can be done with AI and how fast things travel on the internet. But here we are in the year 2026, and there are cameras, high definition camera in every cell phone, and yet photographs of the paranormal still are questionable.
That's a special fuzzy lens. Every Bigfoot has one, and every UFO has one. It's called, we will make everything fuzzy so you can't photograph us or film us.
Now, do you really believe that?
Why not? It's as silly a theory as any other one.
True.
It could be a shielding thing. It could be an electromagnetic field causing it.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that happen with film. We've
Yes.
seen that happen with phones.
Yeah.
If we're talking about something that's just come in from another dimension, it's carrying a lot of electromagnetism.
It does make sense. It does make sense. However, when it comes to hardcore proof to substantiate the claims, there is none. It's all
There is none.
hearsay. Yeah.
Once again, you've got to look at, in my books, I use a simple technique. It has to be multiply independently witnessed,
Mm-hmm.
if it can be, or it's left trace evident phenomena, footprints, burning, you name it, actinic burns, or both. Or one witness with actinic burns. They're hard enough to explain. But if, I don't write about everyone who's looked up in the sky and seen something moving across and, hey, Pa, it's a UFO.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a bloody luminous duck. I've got no idea. But when you get 20 different people from 20 different locations on the same night at the same time,
Giving you the
seeing
same
something
report.
large coming across, there's a probability.
But there's also the probability that what they're seeing is something that they cannot identify, and it may have nothing to do with the paranormal or
Yes.
a UFO flight. Stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. And X Zone Nation, our guest this hour is George Mitrovic. 164 books and 60 to 70 on Audible. His books are available on Amazon.com. We'll be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone on the other side of this short break, so don't go away.
By the firelight's dance of a great wild spirit and a second chance. They say he's a giant with a heart so bold, covered in darkness with stories untold. A creature of legend from the tales of yore, known as Bigfoot, but he's so much more. Oh, Bigfoot, wanderer of the night, in the whispers of the pines, you're a fleeting sight with your massive footsteps in the silence of the night, where shadows softly play, a voice emerges gently, guiding minds astray. Rob McConnell calls to us from a realm unseen. The X-Zone beckons softly, where dreams blend with the keen. In the whispers of the cosmos, where the truth collides with lies, he crafts a tapestry of stories beneath an endless sky. And over 35 years of tales that twist and turn, each word a flicker sparking fires, igniting hearts that yearn. Dare to believe he softly pleads in this place divine, where fact is just a mirror and reality unwinds. In the X-Zone.
Welcome back, everyone. George Mitrovic is our special guest, and he's got a great Facebook page. All you need to do is just go to Facebook and search his name. It's George Mitrovic, and Mitrovic is Mitrovic. I still can't get over it. 164 books on Amazon and 60 to 70 on Audible. And you're working on, and how many books are you working on presently?
I think it'll probably be over 40.
Good
But as I
luck.
said, with this new series of monsters, humanoids, and mysteries, some states don't have enough for a minimum-sized book on Kindle.
Really?
So I had to combine them with others. But others, like California and this Ohio monster, why Ohio? I've got no idea, but maybe it was a favourite of authors over the years. But it's going to be 200 pages, which is a small book by my standards, but still big by this particular series standards. So tomorrow I'll start Ohio. I just finished, what was it, the one I just finished? Where are we? What was that one? I don't know. It was the one before Ohio.
Listen, I'd like to get your take on the Roswell crash of 1947. A lot of controversy about it.
I know, and the biggest controversy, and I mentioned it a few weeks ago, was there must have been I think I've counted 7 or 9 crashes in the Roswell area in 47, starting in early June and finishing around about early August. You know, whether they're taking group bookings to here or not, or one was coming here to see what happened to the previous one that crashed. It wasn't just Roswell, it was on the plains of St. Augustine, recorded crash. They were in other places. I just finished in the book on the latest book I did. I was amazed when I was going through the New Mexico sightings. But and that's a book on New Jersey and New Mexico. And if you like the Jersey Devil, there's lots on the Jersey Devil in that one as well. Everyone loves it.
So
But there were so many.
Right.
And was the main one on the Brazil Ranch, or technically the ranch the Brazils were leasing, which is 60 miles northwest of Roswell. Was it real or was it not real? That's the question. Jesse Marcel reckoned it was. He reckoned he took home fragments with hieroglyphs on them, and they didn't bear any relationship to a balloon of any type or weather balloon. His son, even in the last few years, confirmed that they were strange, unknown bits of lightweight metal with hieroglyphs on them, or what they called hieroglyphs. And then everybody came in, cleaned up the area, all gone, to the usual list of suspects for downed UFOs. But the enormity of the number of sightings has got me, between 7 and 9 other ones, as well as Roswell, all in 2 months. Which was a real one? Or were they all real? They've all got, in one, a group of archaeologists have found one. And they're listed as separate sightings, not everyone showing up at Roswell all at once.
Something that bothers me about the Jesse Marcel aspect of the Roswell case is here you have the base intelligence officer who goes, collects debris, and instead of going right back to the base to maintain the chain of custody,
He went home.
He went home, and he let his son and wife touch and play basically with this evidence, and then he brought it to the base. Now, my law enforcement background tells me that as soon as he did that, the chain of custody is broken. That case is no more valid. He should have known better as a base intelligence officer.
Well, had he been instructed to do that?
Well,
to take the heat off the case, because another report I read said he went to the sheriff in town as well before he went back to the base.
My personal opinion is that the Roswell case has got more holes in it than a piece of Swiss cheese in Billy Meyer's fridge in Switzerland. And there's another case that begs for a deeper investigation into what the truth is. Now, over the years, Roswell witnesses have changed their accounts. Some have withdrawn their accounts, others have modified their accounts, and the same goes for other UFO sightings. But then again, you've got the sightings, for example, in Shag Harbor, witnessed by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, witnessed by the Navy, the Canadian Navy, then the American Navy came in. This craft has never been found since. And then you've got so many other cases, and we were talking about the REL case in France, where the occupants of the craft communicated with him, and he formed the Raelian religious philosophy based on his encounters. When we look at some of the other miracles within the Bible, is it proof of extraterrestrial intervention with this planet? Or is it, like you and I have been discussing, the will or the understanding of what the mind wants to perceive the event as being. Here we are, 2026, and we're no further ahead in the understanding of what the paranormal is than if we go back to the early days of Roswell, or even before that. Are we looking in the wrong direction, or are we using the wrong tools?
I think we need to adjust our vision. I was thinking of 2 other contactee cases. L. Ron Hubbard.
Okay.
He
Scientology.
established a large religious cult
He sure
based
did.
on another planet elsewhere. And another one some people might not know. And that's the founders of Mormonism.
Yeah.
Once again, the angel of Moroni appeared from the sky and told them about a heaven that they're eventually going to go to in very Hubbardish terms.
And then there's one more. It's Jesus Christ and, the Catholic Church, the Christianity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people, like Leslie himself said, these things go back through millennia. They're parts of the things that live in the edges of darkness.
Yeah.
That, they come along. The goblins, the fairies, the monsters, the rest of it. Is there constant two-way traffic between them? Or constant two-way traffic of a form that's been turned into light that the observer converts into what their own reality construct is?
But if that's the case, then the example that you used earlier about the group witnessing a UFO, if there were people in that group who did not believe in UFOs, then they would not have seen this object and they would not have made the report. But if you've got a group of 20 people and they all see the same thing and they report the same thing.
A lot of UFO sightings, multiple UFOs. Quite often, 1 or 2 observers don't see anything.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. Aerial school. In Zimbabwe, what was it, 72? I can't remember the year. It was a school, kids, they're outside playing in the schoolyard. Next second, UFO lands in the schoolyard. They see beings come out, they see beings go back in, they see it take off. Pretty stock standard. We've had a few school sightings. I think there was a Coventry one in England, one in Germany, I can't remember where, Westport in Melbourne, in Australia. But somebody asked them to draw what they saw. And these are kids. They were 10, 11, 12. Mm-hmm. They weren't toddlers. Not one picture was the same. Not one craft was the same. No colours were the same. Excuse me? They're all different. You'd think that there would be similarities. Some of the objects had 1 window. Some had 2 windows. Some had 3 windows.
Mm-hmm.
The kids were interpreting. But what are they actually seeing? What are they actually recording? And they did the same technique, I think, with the Coventry ones. A lovely collection of pictures, but
all different.
Because our ability to interpret is born with us. It's a defensive mechanism. We just give it different names as we progress through the ages.
You know what, George?
I'm always a difficult person to interview.
No, you're not. I think you're wonderful. And you bring an entire new light to this topic. And we've run out of time for tonight, but I would love to have you back on when we can talk some more, because you've got my mind going now saying, oh, holy cow, I never thought of it that way. I never looked at it that way. And I think this is the wonderment of this show, is that we get people like you on to share what you have found that what the data that you have studied has correlated to. And I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, George. And I hope that we have the pleasure of talking to you again. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you for having me, Rob. I've really enjoyed it. I'd like to do it again anytime you want.
All right, my friend. Take care of yourself and give Couscous a scratch from me.
Will do.
Good night,
Thank you.
George. And XO Nation, that's it for this hour. I'll be back on the other side of the break as we continue here in the X Zone on most of our affiliates. For those of you who do not carry the show the third hour, I'll be back tomorrow night with each and every one of you. So until then, number one, I'll be back. Number two, always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Softly, where dreams blend with the keen. In the whispers of the cosmos, where the truth collides with lies, he crafts a tapestry of stories beneath an endless sky.